Hey guys, welcome to the show. I am Rebecca, this is Liam, this is Noah, and we are ranking experts. You know that. And we think we're qualified to tear apart other people's lists now. So we're gonna do just that. Who's wrong this week? Rotten Tomatoes and their top 100 horror movies of all time. No list is safe, so let's tear it apart. Number 10, the original monster movie, Frankenstein. Who's gonna start?
Kind of a boring pick. I think it's
No,
pretty much
Liam with the hot takes.
it's pretty much interchangeable with every other Universal monster movie or any other monster movie from this era, I guess. I would have personally gone with The Mummy or something like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
I get why this is on the list, and I think on this list in particular, we're gonna see a lot of this kind of thing, the kind of like traditionally accepted film school canon of horror movies that end up on this list.
Number 9, Roman Polanski's Rosemary's Baby.
This just makes sense to me. In fact, I actually think this is a little low considering just how influential and important this movie is.
I think this should be higher, especially considering what's above it. And I think I prefer his other movie that's on this list, but I think this is like probably the best psychological horror movie ever made.
All right, we're moving on to number 8, which I believe is a bit of a hot take for Rotten Tomatoes, The Babadook. Who we got?
I would strongly agree with the fact that it's a hot take. I don't think this movie deserves to be anywhere near a top 10 of horror movies of all time. I think it's a good movie. I think it works better as a drama. I think for this kind of like modern wave we've had in the past few years.
I can feel you reacting.
Of horror movies.
So here's where I think you're wrong. Okay, here I agree with you, but I also disagree with you in the sense that I agree that this probably shouldn't be on a top 10 of all time because it is fairly recent. This movie came out in 2014. That's not even 5 years ago, and especially in the context of this list. But in this, where I disagree is that I think The Babadook really has this viewpoint on postpartum depression, on grief. You just don't see that very often in movies.
All right, on to number 7, which is another Frankenstein movie for whatever reason, The Bride of Frankenstein. We really don't have much to say about it, or I don't anyway.
I just think it's frankly a waste to have two movies of the same kind of ilk, I guess.
Yeah, especially when you see the rest of this top 100 and see what's much lower on this list than The Bride of Frankenstein.
Or not on it at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Number 6 is the second Roman Polanski movie on this list, Repulsion.
I personally think Rosemary's Baby fits more on this list, but I personally like Repulsion better, I think.
I feel like it's high. I do feel like 6 is high for this movie. I don't think it's aged better than Rosemary's Baby. I think Rosemary's Baby is well regarded for a reason, but this is such like an interesting movie, and the fact that this is on this list makes me happy.
On to number 5, which is Nosferatu, or as I like to call it, Off-Brand Dracula.
I mean, that's the idea, and I don't find this movie that scary. I mean, it's 100 years old, and I mean, obviously it's groundbreaking for its contributions to the genre, and I feel like it's deserving of its spot on this list based on that, but
I would highly disagree. I think this movie is still terrifying to this day. It's 100 years old almost, and there's something like just so creepy about like his stocky figure, and I think there's something almost like that feels like very demonic about this movie, especially just like the his shadowy figure, and like he's so like he doesn't look human. Like it doesn't look like there's an actor under there, you know?
If I could choose between this guy and Bela Lugosi, I'd choose Bela Lugosi because he's not nearly as scary.
Yeah.
Number 4, King Kong. So this is where we get a bit weird. I feel this is where I ask the question, what are you defining horror as, Rotten Tomatoes?
So last year we published top 50 influential horror movies of all time, and we got in a little bit of trouble for putting Godzilla on. I think a lot of people were confused as to why we were calling that a horror movie. I
might agree with a lot of people.
I just kind of wondered, does like the same logic apply here? I understand why someone would call it a horror movie, but I think by today's standards, it's kind of just like a blockbuster, like a summer blockbustery disaster movie.
Number 3, Psycho.
I have been chomping at the bit to talk about this one. I think this is personally my favorite movie of all time.
What?
Yes,
wow.
I believe this is the greatest horror movie of all time, and anybody who says anything else can get out.
It's not my personal favorite horror movie, but I think it's low. Like I really do think in terms of top 10 horror movies, whatever you define that as, I think this belongs at number 1.
All right, now we're moving on to number 2, which is The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which is even before Nosferatu.
That's true. Yeah, this is 1920, I
Yeah.
think, right? I don't have a ton to say about The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I think I've only seen it once. It doesn't do a lot for me in 2018.
Personally, don't think this should be on the list. I would put Nosferatu on the list over this, just because I think Nosferatu is just like alone is a creepy figure. But I think this movie just got such a great sense of atmosphere, and I think that alone kind of makes it go like pretty creepy for me.
All right, we'll move on to number one, the moment you've all been waiting for. Number one on Rotten Tomatoes' top 100 horror movies of all time list, Get Out.
What?
Which is the reaction everybody has
Yeah.
when they see that it's Get Out.
I'm about to get out of this room after seeing that this is number one.
Ooh.
All right.
I think it's a good movie. I think it's bogus that this is anywhere near a top 10 list of all time. I understand that it's a very important movie, and it was a movie that we kind of needed at this point in history, but I think this is such a waste of an entry and a waste of a number one.
Like, we're talking about movies from the 30s and the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing
No,
from
we
the 70s or
completely
80s.
skipped 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah, so none of those movies made it on, and yet, I mean,
Which to me is like the era of
right,
horror
yeah.
movies.
So I mean,
Absolutely.
that means the most to, I think, people of our generation, right? And obviously, Get Out was it just captured the zeitgeist. It has, it takes the best of the genre and like uses the format to comment on really relevant social issues.
Yeah, I know, but so does Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, well, of
Very
course
true.
it is, yeah.
But I think Night of the Living Dead is a horror movie. I do not think this is a horror movie.
Well, that was the show. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Liam and Noah, for your opinions. And we need you guys to vote on our community tab on YouTube for the name of the show. We have a bunch of options, and you guys can pick your favorite. So do that and tune in next time to see what we call it. See ya.
Want to know our picks? Click here to check out WatchMojo's definitive top 10 horror movies of all time.